Okay, fair warning for all you people out there who thought you had a bad teacher in algebra, bad teacher in algebra 2, or you were lazy during those sections and you just didn't learn very well. One of the two options are probably true, probably more later of the laziness than the other ones, but we do know that possible there are those teachers who you didn't learn from, which is all possibility. So, I'm going to go over factoring from the get-go. I'm going to give you the exact steps that I give my Algebra 1 kids when we're teaching factoring. Okay? So you may think it's a little tedious, but if you have these steps down, you will not miss a factoring problem. I'm guaranteeing you. Okay? If you will follow these 4 steps, and once you get in the habit of following these 4 steps, you won't even need the 4 steps anymore because it just comes so fluent to you, alright? First of all, before we get to true factoring, okay? Whenever you FOIL, what operation do we use for FOIL?
First.
No, that's not. What operation?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. Okay? So the exact opposite is what we're going to use for factoring. So when you hear the word factoring, what are you going to use operation-wise? Division. Okay? Now, here's another thing to think about. When we're distributing, okay? Distributing is something you learned way back in Algebra 1 and 2. If I distribute, why do we distribute in a math expression? What's my main concept there for distributing? Why do I do it?
To combine.
To get rid of what?
The outer number.
No, now get rid of the outer number. To get rid of the parentheses. We distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So therefore, if I'm going to factor, we are going to
Bring back the parentheses.
create parentheses. Ah, very good. Alright, so you're going to create parentheses. So whenever you have a binomial, and a binomial is what? A binomial is what? 2 terms. Okay? X squared minus 10x. Alright, whenever you have a binomial, okay, you're going to factor by using the greatest common factor. In your mind, you're thinking, okay, what's the greatest common factor that will go into both terms? Well, what term will go into here that will also go into here?
X.
X. What I do then is I write down my greatest common factor. When we factor, we're going to create what? Parentheses. Okay? What operation am I using? Division. So what I'm really doing is I'm dividing each term by my greatest common factor. That's factoring right there. That's what it is. So x squared divided by x is x. My sign will stay the same. 10x divided by x is 10. Okay? So many people think that it's so difficult to factor a binomial, and it's that simple. You find your greatest common factor, you create your parentheses, you divide it by your greatest common factor. That's it. Okay? So let's look at another one. What about this? 3x to the third minus 18x squared. 3x to the third minus 18x squared. Okay, first of all, whenever you see a binomial, what are you thinking? I'm looking for my what? My greatest common factor. So my greatest common factor of 3 and 18 is what? 3. My greatest common factor of x cubed and x squared is?
X
X squared. So I write down my greatest common factor. I create my parentheses. What I'm actually doing is dividing each term by 3x squared. Okay? 3 divided by 3 will cancel out. X cubed divided by x squared, what do I have left over? X. My sign stays the same. 18 divided by 3 is? 6. X squared divided by x squared cancels out. That's what I'm left with. You just factor, okay? So factoring can be simple when it's a binomial. Now, when is the only type of binomial, I should say when, what is the only type of binomial where you will not factor it out by using greatest common factor? When what? When neither of them have x? No.
Or different x and is it like different values or something?
What'd you say? When they're both perfect squares. When they're both perfect squares, we call it the difference of 2 squares. Okay, the difference of 2 squares. Here's what it's going to look like. X squared minus 16. Okay? The only time that you will not use the greatest common factor is if you have, okay, right here, your first term and your second term are both perfect squares. When I say perfect squares, I'm saying if I can take the radical of both terms and find a value. Well, what's the radical of x squared? X. So, in your, whenever you see an equation for this, this is always going to be your a term. Okay? This here will always be your a term. And this over here is always your b term. Okay? A term and b term. So what's my a value? what's my b value then? 4. Because you're thinking to yourself, what's the radical of this? 4. Okay? This only works if there's a subtraction sign in between two terms. If that's an addition sign, never can do it. Okay? Difference of two squares, what's the name? Difference. And difference in algebra was what operation?
Minus subtraction.
Subtraction. Okay?
Okay.
It's not the sum of two, it's the difference of two squares. Alright, so you gotta remember that, it's the difference. Okay? So here we have x plus 4. So whenever I have two terms that are separated by a subtraction sign, and they're both perfect squares of each other, they break them down to x plus 4 and x minus 4. X plus 4, x minus 4. Okay?
I remember this.
A term, B term, subtraction sign, addition sign. Okay? Now it works the exact same way. What about this? What if I have this? 4x squared minus 25y squared. Well, some people say, well, they both got variables. Well, that's okay. Remember, subtraction sign, yes. Do I know the radical of each equation?
Yes.
Yes, I do. What's my a value? 2 what? 2x. It's not 2, it's 2x. What's my b value? 5y.
Y.
So now I break that down into what?
2x plus 5y and then 2x plus 5y.
2x plus 5y,
2x minus
2x minus 5y.
Oh, what else?
Okay? And remember, the signs have got to be opposite because when you FOIL this out, what's happening to our two middle terms? They're canceling. They're canceling. If you had the same number, you'd end up with a trinomial. Okay? Alright? So that's factoring right there with the binomial. Okay, that's the only thing you have to do to factor with the binomial. Alright? Now, factoring when we get into trinomials is a little bit longer. The first kind is very easy and be very familiar with you. I'm going to write down the steps. I'm going to treat you guys like you're back in Algebra 1 again. So if this is a struggle for you, after today, it will become a lot easier, I guarantee you. If you think it's easy, sit there and be quiet and let the people who struggle with it learn a little bit. Alright? So, here we go. X squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay, we're going to factor this down. Step number 1. If you're going to factor down a trinomial, what's my very first step always? Greatest common factor, no. First step.
Square the x? Or
No.
Foil?
Nope.
How do you FOIL?
Remember, foiling is when you're multiplying to create a trinomial, right? What? Set equal to 0? No, we're not solving for anything yet. We're just factoring it down. My very first step, you're missing the point, guys. Very first step, create parentheses.
Oh, like
Every trinomial gets broken down into what? Two
Two
binomials. Every trinomial gets broken down into two binomials. My second step, I always ask myself, what times what equals the first term? What times what equals the first term? So, we'll do these steps as we go on. My number 1 step is create parentheses. Every trinomial will get broken down into two binomials all the time. Parentheses have got to be there. Okay? Second step is what times what will give me my first term? What times what gives me x squared?
x times x.
X times x. There's no other option. Okay? There's no other options. It's x times x. It's the only thing. Alright? Third step. Will, what's my third step?
No, you have to find out what.
No, not yet. No, before that.
Oh,
Signs. Signs. I've got to figure out my signs. And when I do that, I've got an A option and I got a B option. Okay? My A option is first. When my third term is negative, if third, I'm gonna put last term instead of third term. If last term is negative, then signs are 1 plus, 1 negative. 1 plus and 1 negative. So signs will be opposite. If this last term is negative, your signs are opposite. Okay? Everybody understand that? Okay? Now what's my other option then? If last term is positive, then look at middle term. Look at middle term and both signs will be that. Okay? So, if the last term is positive, which we have, we look towards the middle term and both signs have got to be that. So in this situation then, both my signs are going to be what?
Negative.
Both negative. You can't miss the signs ever if you follow those steps. If the last term is negative, signs are opposite. If the last term is positive, you look to the middle sign and both signs have got to be whatever is there. Just like when we're completing the square. Whatever sign was in our middle term, that's always our sign of our perfect square, right? It's the same thing here. If it's positive, we look towards the middle sign, both signs have got to be that. You can never miss the signs if you follow those steps. Okay? Number 4. What's my last step?
Find something that adds to the second term and
It's like
multi-
six plus
The product.
find something that, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write it a little bit different. Factors of last term that give me the middle term. Factors of last term that give me middle term. Okay? Now I want you to think about this concept before we write it down though. Okay? First of all, what are my factors of 8? 1 and 4, or I'm sorry, 1 and 8, 2 and 4, right? Okay, now I want you to think about this. If my signs are opposite, what am I doing with my factors? Whenever you have opposite signs, are you adding or subtracting?
Yours.
You're subtracting. So if your signs are opposite, you're going to subtract to get your middle term. If your signs are the same, you're going to add to get your middle term. So which factors, when I add together, will give me 6? 2 and 4. You're done. Follow your 4 steps. It's hard to miss. Okay? Follow your 4 steps. It's hard to miss. Okay? Now let's look at another one here. I got x squared minus 10x minus 24. Okay, we're just going to follow my steps. First step action is what? What's my first step? Parentheses. If you miss that, parentheses, and if you can't go any farther than that, then I won't be able to help you at all. Okay, you gotta be able to know how to do parentheses. Alright? So get that down, because if we miss that part, it's gonna be a long year. Alright, so here we go. My second step, I'm asking myself, what times what gives me my first term?
6 and 4.
6 times 4 is x
Oh, I'm
squared?
sorry,
Wow. Okay.
I thought we were-
What times what gives me x squared?
X.
X and x. Okay? X and x. My third is the most important step. Okay? What are my signs? I look at my middle term. It's negative. Plus and minus. My signs will be opposite. Okay? Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, my fourth thing says I need the factors of 24. Write your factors down. And then when you get to a point where you don't have to write your factors down because it becomes so common, then you don't have to. Right now, write your factors down. I got 1 and 24, I got 2 and 12, I got 6 and 4, I got 3 and 8. That's good. My signs are opposite, so what am I doing with my factors? Subtracting. So which factors, when I subtract, will give me 10? 2 and 12. Now, order matters here because my signs are opposite. Here's the rule. Whatever sign your middle term is, your largest factor has got to keep. So I've got a 12 and a 2. So that means my 12 has got to be where? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Your biggest factor always keeps your middle sign. Always. Your biggest factor always keeps your middle sign. Something else you can write down. I'm not writing it down up here, but if I say it, it's a good word thing to put